boys and girls. I'm Nana Rose. Today's story is Alexander and the Wind-Up Mouse by Leo Lionni. Alexander and the Wind-Up Mouse by Leo Lionni. Help! Help! A mouse! There was a scream, then a crash. Cups, saucers, and spoons were flying in all directions. Alexander ran for his hole as fast as his little legs would carry him. All Alexander wanted was a few crumbs, and yet every time they saw him, they would scream for help or chase him with a broom. One day, when there was no one in the house, Alexander heard a squeak in Annie's room. Squeak! He sneaked in, and what did he see? Another mouse. But not an ordinary mouse like himself. Instead of legs, it had two little wheels, and on its back, there was a key. Who are you? Asked Alexander.
I am Willie, the wind-up mouse, Annie's favorite toy. They wind me to make me run around in circles. They cuddle me, and at night I sleep on a soft pillow between the doll and the woolly teddy bear. Everyone loves me.
Oh, they don't care much for me, said Alexander sadly. But he was happy to have found a friend.
Let's go to the kitchen and look for crumbs, he said. Oh, I can't, said Willie. I can only move when they wind me. But I don't mind. Everybody loves me.
Alexander, too, came to love Willie. He went to visit him whenever he could. He told him of his adventures with brooms, flying saucers, and mouse traps. Willie talked about the penguin, the woolly bear, and mostly about Annie. The two friends spent many happy hours together. But when he was alone in the dark of his hideout, Alexander thought of Willie with envy. Oh, he sighed. Why can't I be a wind-up mouse like Willie and be cuddled and loved? One day, Willie told a strange story.
I've heard, he whispered mysteriously, that in the garden at the end of the pebble path, close to the blackberry bush, there lives a magic lizard who can change one animal into another.
Do you mean, said Alexander,
that he could change me into a wind-up mouse like you?
That very afternoon, Alexander went into the garden and ran to the end of the path.
Lizard, lizard,
he whispered. And suddenly, there stood before him, full of the colors of flowers and butterflies, a large lizard.
Is it true that you could change me into a wind-up mouse?
Said Alexander in a quivering voice.
When the moon is round, said the lizard, bring me a purple pebble.
For days and days, Alexander searched the garden for a purple pebble. In vain. He found yellow pebbles and blue pebbles and green pebbles, but not one tiny purple pebble. At last, tired and hungry, he returned to the house. In a corner of the pantry, he saw a box full of old toys. And there, between blocks and broken dolls, was Willie.
What happened?
Said Alexander, surprised. Willie told him a sad story. It had been Annie's birthday. There'd been a party, and Everyone had brought a gift.
The next day,
Willie sighed.
many of the old toys were dumped in this box. We will all be thrown away.
Alexander was almost in tears.
Poor Willie,
he thought. But then something suddenly caught his eye. Could it really be? Yes, it was. It was a little purple pebble. Can you find the purple pebble in the picture? Do you see it? Point to it. All excited, he ran to the garden, the precious little pebble tight in his arms. There was a full moon. Out of breath, Alexander stopped near the blackberry bush. Lizard in the bush, he called quickly. The leaves rustled, and there stood the lizard.
the moon is round. The pebble found,
said the lizard.
Who or what do you wish to be? I want to be...
Alexander stopped. Then suddenly he said,
Lizard, could you change Willie into a mouse like me?
The lizard blinked. There was a blinding light, and then all was quiet. The purple pebble was gone. Alexander ran back to the house as fast as he could. The box was there, but alas, it was empty.
Too late,
he thought. And with a heavy heart, he went to his hole in the baseboard. Something squeaked. Squeak! Cautiously, Alexander moved closer to the hole. There was a mouse inside.
Who are you?
Said Alexander, a little frightened.
My name is Willie,
said the mouse.
Willie,
cried Alexander.
The lizard did it.
He hugged Willie, and then they ran to the garden path. And there they danced until dawn. And that's the story of Alexander and the Wind-Up Mouse by Leo Lionni. Now, I thought all you might need is a piece of paper. And then, if you happen to have any stamp pads, these are Inka-Dinka-Doo stamp pads. I have a purple one and a green one. If you want, and if you don't mind getting some ink on your fingers, you can take your thumb, stick it in the stamp pad, and make a thumbprint. Or you can take your finger, stick it in the stamp pad, and make a thumbprint, or in that case, a fingerprint. And then, using a marker, you can give your mice a tail. And you can give them little ears. And you can give them an eyeball. And if you want, you can give one of your mice legs. And you can give the other one wheels. And maybe even a key. But if you don't want to get ink on your fingers, because it is kind of icky, you can just use a marker and make a circle. And you could put ears on your circle, and a tail, and an eyeball. If you want to make a little bit more so it looks like a mouse, make a squashed circle. So it's skinnier at one end than the other. And then you can give it a tail, an eyeball, and a couple of ears. I didn't give it legs. So there you go. And not only can you make a mouse on paper, but you can make yourself into a mouse. You can give yourself little front paws, because mice have little tiny paws. And you can give yourself front teeth. And you could be a mouse eating a seed. And you could squeak. Squeak! Let me hear you squeak. Good job. Squeak, squeak, squeak. And you could say, hi, I'm Willie. Or you could say, hi, I'm Alexander. And you can eat seeds. And you can pretend. Because that's what using your imagination is. It's pretending to be something else. So, thanks for listening and have fun.